Welcome to a new video! Today I'm going to share with you a deck that I've been waiting to share for a very long time because finally all of the cards except from one got here, but still it is what it is. Today I'm going to share with you, as you've seen from the title itself, Utopia deck profile. Now this is not going to be Master Duel, just like I did the video before, because it's not specifically for Master Duel. This is for the standard game, but there are going to be Master Duel applications for the players that are interested in that. There's really not a whole lot for this one, but if you are interested, there will be a section about that during the end of the explanation of the deck profile itself. But before we'll jump right into the video itself, if you want to see more videos like this, I will muchly appreciate it if you will hit the subscribe button and join our little family. Let me know in the comments down below what do you think about the list and what will you change, and also give a like to the video if you enjoyed. But now, let's jump right into the list itself. Alright, so starting with the list itself, we're going to start things off, of course, with the first package, because this deck have pretty interesting packages. We're going to start off with the newer stuff that came this year, or should I say, like, in 2021, which is the triple copies of Astral Utopia, 3 Ascended Sage, double Armed Sage, and then the 1 copy of Astral Karibo for the 9 cards that I like to run for this engine. Now, for this particular engine, these 2 specifically came in Brothers of Legend, which are really cool and just help the deck just finally get what it needs to get in terms of cards. In case of Astral Karibo, I don't really like to run this more than 1. I know that there are some people who like to run this more than 1, and I've seen some decks that like this at 2 or even 3. But the reason why I don't like this is because I do have a different emphasis on my extra deck, so I don't really like go into only number monsters like this card give you, because this card says that you can reveal a number monster and then you special summon this card from your hand, and then it becomes the same level of the revealed monsters, but it does lock you into number monsters as long as it's on the field. But it also, when you exceed with it, you do gain an additional effect to protect your number monster, I guess. But mostly, this is just a free special summon level 4, I guess. Like, you reveal Utopia itself, special summon this, and this has just become a level 4 to help you play if you need to. I don't really like it more than 1. Some people like to run it more than 1. I think 1 is completely fine. Sage is basically, if you control 1 level 4 monster, it's a free special summon, and then if it's used for an Exceed Summon for a Utopia monster, it gives a Utopia monster the effect to search any Zexal weapon from your deck to your hand. Ascended Sage is basically, if you control no cards, it's a free special summon, and then it's allowing you, instead of searching a Zexal weapon, it's search for you a rank up spell, which is very important. So these 2 are really important cards of the deck. This is a little bit more better because the rank up spell is the better card right now because of what we got finally. And I do like to run 2 of this card instead of 1. Some people like to run this at 3, some people like to run this 1. I like it at 2. I like to see it, but I don't like to see it way too much, and I think that's a fair assessment. If you want to run this at 1, that's completely fine, but that's technically up to you. And then lastly, Astral Utopia. This card is absolutely amazing. Basically, if you control an Xyz monster, it's a free special summon, and then you can send any card from your hand or field to the graveyard, and then search, of course, except itself, and then search from the following cards, because there are a lot of like options. You can either search an Xyz, Automat, a Zexal, or number, spell, or trap from your deck to your hand, which is really cool because you have a lot of like options in the deck, as you will see when we'll go over it. So it's like you have a lot of options to search with this card, and it's a free body, which making it really awesome. So yeah, this is basically for the new stuff package. Now we'll move on into the more older stuff that came in a Legendary Duelist Magical Hero, I believe the name of that set was. And for that, we got the 3, this guy, Utopic, whatever his name is, 3 copies of Gaga Coat, and then 2 copies of Go Gloves. These 3, I think you already know what they do, but if you don't, I'm going to go over these pretty quickly. Go Gloves is a free special summon from the grave if you control another Go monster, or Do monster, because this is count as everything. So, like, Go, Do, and all those, like, 4 names, this counts as everything for that. So that's why this can special summon itself as long as it's on the field. And then the other thing that it does is that you can special summon one Zubaba or Gagaga from your hand to your side of the field. So like if you have this, you can special summon this or this out of your hand. This card, however, if you control any of its other names, which is Zubaba or Gagaga, you're able to special summon this out of your hand. Or should I say, like, if you control this, you're able to special summon this out of your hand. Sorry, my apologies. And then if you have a Go-Go-Go or Do-Do-Do monster in your graveyard, or should I say, you can target a Go-Go-Go or Do-Do-Do monster in your graveyard and then special summon it, but lock yourself into Xyz. These are very confusing. So the point is that the combo is like this. You open up with the 3 of them, you normal summon this, special summon this with it. Because of its own effect, it can special summon both of these out of your hand, but I do recommend to sometimes not always do that, because, you know, hand traps and stuff like that affect Veiler. Point is, this counts as all 4. You normal summon this, you special summon these 2 out of your hand, or whatever, by their own effects. You Xyz with these 2 into a rank 4, and then you send the 2 materials to the graveyard. This will revive this back, and this will revive by its own effect, and then you get yourself all these back, basically. Instead of 3 monsters, you basically get 5 monsters, which is really, really cool. So, this engine is actually really nice. It's a very, very hard engine to explain because of the names. The names are a pain, as they like to say. And then for the last 2 monsters that are related to the Utopia stuff, we have the 2 Zexal weapons. Zexal weapon, Pegasus Twin Saber, is really, really a big deal if you draw into it. It's very, very bad, but you do have a card that can put it on the bottom of your deck, so that's fine, I guess. And this one is just because it's just giving you additional protection. You could technically only run this, and that's it, because this is a negate, but I do recommend to run 2 Zexal weapons just in case that you need both of them. So this is protection with Tornado Bringer, and Twin Saber is kind of an interruption, but it needs to be equipped from the deck because otherwise it doesn't really work that well. And then the last monster I run is 3 copies of Effect Veiler. You do need some kind of a hand trap, and Effect Veiler in terms of monsters hand traps is the best one in this format, at least for the TCG format. Don't worry, Master Duel guys, I got you at the end of the video. Regardless, that's pretty much does it for the monsters. Now we'll move on into the spells. And for the spells, we have a very interesting lineup of spells, because a lot of the spells are like one-offs except from these 7, which is 3 Automata Para, 2 Automata Pickup, and then 2 Zexal Construction. Automata Para is basically able to search the 3 weirded name cards, basically. And the cool thing about this is that because this counts as all the names, you can count it as one of the names for this particular thing. So, for example, let's say you want to add an Automata Para and then also a Gagaga coat. It doesn't really stop you from, like, you know, adding this and another Gagaga coat, because this can be counted as, like, I don't know, the Dododo instead of this, and then the Gagaga coat will count as the Gagaga coat. That's the point why they have multiple names, so you will be able to use them in different scenarios. That's kind of like the point of this, which I think is really, really cool. And then you have Automata Pickup at 2, because it just basically searched this card. That's kind of like its entire point. You could search the Utopic Weirded Name guy, but mostly you just search this, which then discard for you a card and search for you 2 of those 3 cards. Also, it's a good card to stay on the field because it does work with Astral Utopia, which you can send this from the field to the grave to then basically get a search, or should I say, like, you know, a search that way and not waste a card in your hand if you're able to open up with it before you use Astral Utopia effect. Then for the last card, we have Zexal Construction here. This card allowing you to reveal 1 card from your hand, and if you do, add one of the following cards from your deck to your hand, and then shuffle the revealed card into your deck, which is really good to get bricks out of your hand. It is worse than a Signet Mining, I know, that's why we don't run a 3, but it's still really good to get a card out of your hand and also search for you either a Zexal Weapon monster, a Zexal Sage monster, a Zexal Spell and Trap, a rank up magic spell, or a rank down magic spell. You mostly just use this for search your sages or a Zexal card, depending on the situation, of course, and putting cards that you want to on the bottom of your deck, or should I say shuffle them into your deck, so, you know, you don't draw your bricks. But that does it for those. And then for the one-off spells that I mentioned, for the Utopia-related stuff, we have the rank up spell itself, the Zexal Field, the Double or Nothing, and the Zexal, or should I say, Change Tactics. I run one of each. Also, I really, really like all of these are ultra rares. That looks really nice. But the point is, I run all of these at 1 for their own certain reasons. You don't need to run this more than at 1. Like, worst case scenario, sure, you draw into it. it's not the end of the world. You're just not going to get to search for Ascended Sage. You do have the option, if you really want to run, where is it? This card as well as like an additional rank up spell, but there's really no reason to run this card because you don't really go into rank 5s or anything. So this is like most of the time kind of a dead card. So that's why I decided to cut it down completely and only playing this. But you do have the option if you want to. So technically you only need this card. If you want to run the other one as well, you have more than welcome to do so. Also, this card, basically the entire point of it is supposed to help you to rank up into this guy, because this guy is amazing, and we'll get to him in the extra deck. And then every time you exceed summon, or at least like, you know, a soft once per, a hard once per turn, every time you exceed summon a monster, basically exceed monster, special summon with the effect of a rank up or a utopic or whatever that is, you're able to equip this card into it. It's kind of like a weird thing. I don't really know how to explain this, but basically you can attach this as a material to one of your summoned monsters if you basically summon this with this effect, which is kind of really cool. So it's giving your monsters that don't have a material by summoned by that card effect, which is Dragnar, if you already know who that is, being able to kind of like get the materials for the effects that they need. Now, Zexal Field is here because it is an important card for an important card in the extra deck that I do like to run. If you do not like number 65, which you know, if you already know who that is, then, you know, you can cut this card and have another card for whatever you want to. But I do like the that effect. Also, to mention the fact, it is searchable. You don't need to run more than one, and it just protects your monsters regardless in general. The point of this is that if you exceed summon a monster, you can also equip into it another exceed monster from your deck as a material. So the point is, if you have Dragnar and it summoned a monster from your extra deck, and it doesn't have a material, basically this can just, this and this will give it 2 materials immediately, which is amazing. Double or Nothing is only here because of Utopia Double. And then Exceed Chain Tactics, I don't really like this card that much, but it is a good one-off search if I need to, and I have everything else. I basically put this on the field, and then just draw 2 to 3 cards, if not 4 cards, depending on the situation. But again, it's really not necessary to run more than one, because you can only play one regardless. And it's not really the main thing in your deck, so that's why I only like to run the one. Then, for the last few cards that are supposed to help you in the deck, Reinforcement of the Army, Monster Reborn, and Cold by the Grave. I don't really need to explain these that much. Reinforcement of the Army, most of your deck is Warrior. Monster Reborn is to help you extend if you need to. And Cold by the Grave is in order to protect you, basically, from some particular hand traps if you draw into it. Then, for the traps, we have 4 Numbers Protection and 3 Infinite Impermanence. Again, Infinite Impermanence could be any other hand trap as well, which again, for the Master Duel guys, that's probably going to be just Max C if you want that. But the point is that this card is really good. This is the main card that you want to have in the deck. You have this card, which is searchable by Astral Utopia, and it's just an amazing card by itself. You just basically, if you have a number monster and a spell trap or a monster effect is activated, you basically get a negate, and if that monster, like a number monster or whatever, get destroyed by a card effect, or, you know, by battle from your opponent, you're able to set this back to your field, and then you get another interruption, which making this really strong. Nothing really much to explain on that one, just a very solid trap. But that does it for the main deck. Now we'll move on into the extra deck, and for the extra deck, let's start off with the Utopia package, or at least the related card for the Utopia package. We have 1 copy of Utopic Sage, 1 copy of Utopia Double copies of original Utopia, which got stuck in my hand for a second, 1 copy of Utopia Ray, 1 Utopia Lightning, 1 Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray, and then 1 copy of Dragnar to round off the Utopia related stuff. So basically, Dragnar is an amazing card. Basically, the card says that as a quick effect, you can detach 2 materials and then special summon from your extra deck a number monster that is between 1 and 100, and this is treated as an exceed summon. And basically, it just, you know, it cannot attack directly or whatever this turn. But it's not really matter for that point, or should I say, like, it cannot declare an attack, but it doesn't really matter at this point, and even if you lock yourself into Exceeds, because this is just giving you the ability to have utility with a lot of stuff in your extra deck. Like, you're able to summon this, which is an amazing Exceeds monster for the deck. Basically, Utopia Leo, Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray does count as a number monster, because he is count as a number 39 Utopia Ray all the time, which is really powerful. And Leo Utopia Ray is allowing you to also equip your Zexal weapons directly from your deck, which is really awesome. So this is one of the uses of Dragnar, because Dragnar is able to just summon things out of your extra deck and just give them the ability to be played. And because of the rank up spell, you're able to basically equip the rank up spell to that said monster and still get a 1 effect use out of it. Utopia the Lightning doesn't need any explanation, it's just here for OTKs. Utopia Ray here can be any other, also like the other one, I forgot what the name is, I think it's S39 Utopia something, I forgot what that one is, that get your life points to a 10 or something. That's also an option, but the point of those 2 cards is just to help you rank up to get enough materials for 2 uses of Dragnar, so that's kind of like the entire point. You don't really use them for their own effects. 2 copies of Utopia because it's Utopia, and then 1 copy of Utopia Double for Double or Nothing. And then the other new card is Utopic Sage, because Utopic Sage allowing you to detach 2 materials and then special summon from your deck any Zexal weapon or Utopic or Zexal Servant directly from your deck, which can be either your Armed Sage, Ascended Sage, or any of your other Zexal weapons. Mostly you don't really use that for the Zexal weapons, but it is an option if you have to. And the point is that this is a really good effect, because it's allowing you to grab those if you don't see them in your opening hand, and then grab Ascended Sage, which will give you the rank up spell, which is very good. It's also have a protection-like effect. From the field on graveyard, you get to banish it, but most of the time you just want to try to get into a graveyard for this protection effect, because why would you want to keep it on the field for that one? But yeah, that's pretty much does it for the Utopia-related stuff. Then for the additional number / I guess, combo pieces or stuff that you have in your extra deck, we have the Utopic Future and Utopic Draco Future. You know how to make these. Basically, you slap this and then you slap this on top of it. Then we have these 2, which are the 2 cards that I mentioned before, and also number 38. Number 38 is a really easy monster to make. You just basically use the Dragnar effect, and you don't need a material for its own effect, so that's why it's so good. And then these two are just here because of the fact of Zexal Field, which, again, like I mentioned, if you don't like Zexal Field, you can always cut that down, and you also can cut these 2 cards, and essentially have 2 additional spaces in the extra deck. But the point is that this card have the effect of effect monsters your opponent control cannot activate their effects. And all it has to have is this under it as a material. So what do? You use Dragnar during your opponent's turn, detach 2 material, summon this, Zexal Field will equip this to it as a material, and you're also getting the rank up spell on top of it, and then you get yourself a smaller VFD-like effect. It is a little bit more susceptible, but if you're able to protect it, is very valuable. So yeah, that does it for those. Don't really need to explain those too much as well. And then for the last 2 cards, we have, Double A Zeus, and a card that apparently I forgot to order for some reason, which is the Prime Mathmech Albitheon, or whatever that is. Which is the card that you can basically detach 3 materials, search any monster that is level 4 or lower, or detach 4 materials and search any spell and trap. Point is, you just use it for the 3 material effect, and you just search from your deck to your hand things that you need, like Astral Utopia, or even your Effect Veiler, which is an option, as you will see in the combos. But that's pretty much does it for that. So that does it for the deck profile, and does it everything for the, all the deck. 40 cards main deck, 15 cards extra deck. Very cool deck. I really like this one. But yeah, that's pretty much does it for the deck for the TCG. Now I'm going to talk a little bit of the changes for Master Duel, and then we'll move on into the combo section. Welcome to the combo section, and in the combo section I'm going to share with you a few combos that I think are very important for you to know playing this deck. And the first combo that we're going to touch is the 2-card combo, the Sages combo, the Armed Sage and Ascended Sage combo. There is really nothing too much to say about this. It's pretty simple combo, and we're just going to jump right into it. So to start things off, we're going to use Ascended Sage effect, because we control no cards, special summon, and then use the effect of Armed Sage to special summon itself because we control level 4. We're then going to immediately exceed these 2 cards into Standard Utopia, which in this particular point I do want to talk about something which you could technically go into this and then get the double of nothing and then get the Utopia and get the enough materials and everything that you need. But because I want to save this for OTK for a later turn, I decided to just save this for a later turn rather than just getting this out of my deck. Like, if I need the additional resource for discard, I will get this out of my deck and just discard it. But for the most part, this is just something that I would recommend to save for going second. But if you want to get the brick out of your deck and everything, you could go into that, because this will double your Utopia monster attack, so it's kind of like not always that smart to just spend all of the resources on your plays. Regardless, we Xyz summoned a Utopia monster, so now our Armed Sage and Ascended Sage are going to trigger both of their effects to give us both from the Armed Sage the Tornado Bringer, and then from the Ascended Sage we're going to get the rank up magic directly from our deck. Next up, we're going to slap on top of our Utopia the Utopia Ray, and then we're going to activate the rank up spell, and then slap on top of that the Dregnar. So we have Dregnar with 4 materials from it. Now, those 4 materials are not going to be staying long, because we are going to touch 2 of them to summon directly from our extra deck the, well, Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray, because it does count as C39 due to its own effect. Now, because we summoned a number monster from our extra deck, we're going to trigger the effect of the rank up magic spell from our graveyard and attach to the Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray. And then we're going to use the effect of it, detach a material, and equip directly from our deck the Pegasus, giving it 2 interruptions due to its own effect. Then we also equip the Tornado Bringer to also make it untargetable and also boost its attack, so your opponent will not be able to run over it pretty easily. Then, we pass the turn to our opponent, and then immediately during their standby phase, or when we're able to, we're going to detach the 2 last materials from Dregnar, and summon from our extra deck the number 38, and attach to it the rank up spell. Now, this can also be any number of monsters that you want to, from, 1 to 39, oh, not 39, 99, or should I say due to the effect of Dregnar, but I do recommend 38 most of the time because it's the most standard one. You can also go into number 90 if you see more monster effects, but having different kinds of forms of interruptions are pretty good, because this is a monster interruption, and then you also have this interruption, and then you have a spell interruption. It's kind of like how that works with this combo. I believe this is like the monster interruption, if I remember correctly. Token effect monster, yeah, this is the monster interruption, and this is supposed to be the standard interruption of a card on the field. So you have 3 interruptions here out of 2 cards. But that does it for the combo number 1. Let's move on into the second combo, which is combo number 2. So for the second combo itself, we're going to have basically the returning player from the last combo, which is going to be Ascended Sage, and then the additional card that we get instead of Armed Sage is Astral Utopia, as well as an additional 3 discard due to the effect of Astral Utopia to discard and search a card. So let's get started with the combo itself. Starting things off, we're going to special summon the Ascended Sage due to its effect, and then we're going to normal summon the Astral Utopia, or Astraltopia, and then use its effect to discard the random card from our hand, and in here particular situation, we get the option to choose between few cards. We get to either add to our hand the Numbers Protection, or the Zexal Field. This is one of like the 2 cards that we can add to our hand, which Zexal Field, there it is. I don't know why it was going somewhere, but depending on what we'll add somewhere for our hand, we'll be able to do some different things. If you want just the protection with a counter trap, go to Zexal, should say Numbers Protection. If you want the lock, 2 interruptions and a lock with the number C65 King Overfiend, go with Zexal Field. But for this particular point, I actually recommend Number Protection, because we're going to get 4 interruptions for 3-ish cards or 2.5 cards, which I think is a little bit better. So this is the cards that we're going to add to our hand. Then what we're going to do is that we're going to do just like the last combo. We're going to Xyz summon into a Utopia, use the effect of the Ascended Sage to grab to our hand the rank up magic, and then we're going to go once again into the Ray, and then use this card effect to basically just go into the Dregnar. Yes, I'm sorry I'm a little bit messy, but it is what it is, how this deck works. Now, what we're going to do is, just like before, we're going to detach 2 materials, it doesn't really matter which, and we're going to summon directly from our extra deck the ultimate Leo Utopia Ray. And then we're going to use his effect after we attach the rank up magic and then detach it. And we'll equip directly from our deck the Pegasus Twin Saber. Then we set the numbers protection and pass the turn for our opponent, and do the same thing during the opponent's turn, detach 2, and special summon the Hope Harbinger with the rank up magic attached to it due to the rank up magic effect. And there you go. This is how you're going to end the combo itself. It's literally the way that a combo works. It's just the same thing. It's just if you open up with the Astral Utopia, you just waste another card, but you're going to get another interruption, which is number protection. Not really much whole lot of deviations from the previous combo, so now let's move on into the third combo. Alright, so for the third combo and onward, we're going to use 3 cards for our combos moving forward. So for the 3 cards, we're going to have the 2 returning players back, which is the Ascended Sage and Armed Sage, and of course, the additional copy of Astral Utopia. This particular combo is a lot stronger, but it also uses a lot more resources, and you have a little bit more of discard, which we will talk about it when we'll get to it. But now let's get started with this. So to start things off, Special Summon Ascended Sage, Special Summon Armed Sage, Xyz Summon. Now in this particular point, I do recommend to maybe go into Utopia Double, because in 3-card combos, which I forgot to mention that in the previous, 2 combos, is because of the fact that, like, in 3-card combos you use a little more resources, and you also have, like, a discard in your hand or other cards that also have discard effects. I do recommend to go into this because, yes, the additional attack and everything for OTK is nice, but I also sometimes want to have a more consistent hand. And if I can build a very, very strong board and just prevent my opponent to do anything from the begin with, then I just don't really mind to get rid of the double or nothing. So we're just going to Xyz into it and use its effect immediately to detach and add from our deck to our hand the double or nothing, the Tornado Bringer due to the Armed Sage effect, and then also the rank up magic Utopic first due to the discard effect. Then what we're going to do is that because of the effect happened, we're going to slap to the top of it the number 39, then use the effect of Utopia Ray to slap on top of that, and then activate the rank up magic and go into Dragnar just as usual. Dragnar effect, detach 2, it doesn't really matter which. We're going into the Utopia Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray, attach to it as a material, detach the material, go into activating and getting the Twin Saber directly from your deck. And then we equip the Tornado Bringer, and there you go. Now, this is where the combo essentially changed. We're not going to pass the turn to our opponent because we do have Astral Utopia in our hand. So Astral Utopia effect says that if you control an Xyz monster, you're able to special summon this card from your hand. Then we're going to use its effect to discard any card from our hand. So let's assume that the 2 other cards are important cards that can allow us to maybe combo for next turn, or maybe hand traps and stuff like that. I would recommend to just discard this, because we don't really have any use to it, and then add from your deck to your hand the Automata Para. Now, I don't recommend to add the Automata Pickup, because the Automata Pickup is a problematic card, like, not a problematic card, but, like, you do have the issues that, like, if you don't, if you search too many cards, then you see less cards that you want to search. So the Automata Pickup, if you leave it in the deck, you have a little bit more of a chance to draw into Automata Pickup, which then will search you another Automata Para. It's kind of like a weird thing like that, so that's why I recommend to just add the Para instead of the Pickup. Now, in this particular point, you recommend to discard another card in your hand, which is a little bit of a shame that you have to do that, but it is what it is. And then we're going to add to our deck, to our hand, the 2 cards that are going to be the this guy, the long name Utopic Monster, and the Go 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 Gloves. So what we're going to do, because we did a normal summon, we're going to normal summon this and special summon this. You can also do the vice versa, of course, but I do want to do this like this. And then we're going to take 2 of these, specifically, put them in the extra monster zone, and summon the Utopic Sage. Utopic Sage effect, detach 2 materials, special summon directly from our deck any Sage or Zexal Servant directly from our deck, which is going to be a Never Ascended Sage or Armed Sage, depending on the situation. You could also have like played another Zexal weapon and used this as the level 4, but why waste things and just do things really, really dumbly? I do recommend to do this because I think it's better. Then we're going to use the effect of Go 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 Gloves in our graveyard, special summon it due to his own effect, because we control this. And then we're going to exceed all 3 of these cards to the card that I do not possess at the moment, unfortunately, the Prime Math Mech. Use the Prime Math Mech effect, detach all 3 materials, and we're going to get to add to our hand, from our deck to our hand, any hand trap of our choice because it's level 4 or lower. Oh hey, I add to my hand an Effect Veiler, because an Effect Veiler is a level 4 or lower monster, and I don't really mind that. Next, we're going to use these 2, and we're going to go into the F0, and the Utopic Draco Future on top of it, and all that stuff. Like Utopic Future, and then Utopic Draconic Future, whatever that's called, Draco Future. And then pass the turn to our opponent, which we have in our possession 1, 2, 3 interruptions, 4 interruptions. Oh hey, I detach 2, special summon this, 5 interruptions. Now, of course, specifically, we did have to discard a lot of cards from our hand, but we still have like 2 cards with this, of course, in our hand, which is like, you know, it's fine to have 2 monsters as long as they're 2 level 4s. You're still able to put something on the board. So, yeah, that's completely fine. But that does it for the 3rd combo, a little more of the complex line. Now let's move on into the 4th combo, which I'm going to explain a little bit better because most of the combos, like, you know, 3 and onwards are kind of like done like this. Alright, so for the 4th combo, this is what I like to call the Automant combo, and this particular combo recommends you, or should say, you should open up, not recommend you, you should open up with Automata Pickup. You can also be Automata Pair, but Automata Pickup will make sure that you have to discard 1 less card, a free discard, and this guy, or any of your other combo pieces from these 3. Like, one of the 3, Automata Pickup or Automata Para, and then a free discard. So let's get started. So, to start things off, obviously, we're going to activate this card, and then we're going to use its effect to add to our hand the Automata Para, use Automata Para, discard the 3 card, and then add from our deck to our hand the 2 missing pieces and put them here. Now, what we're going to do is that we're going to either normal summon this or normal summon this, but I like to always normal summon this, special summon this due to this effect, and then, of course, if our opponent will hand trap us, at the very least, we're getting this card out of our hand due to his own effect. So, now we have all of these 3 on the field. We're going to take 2 of them and Xyz summon into the Utopic Sage, use Utopic Sage effect, detach 2, and then special summon directly from our deck the Ascended Sage. Now we're going to use the effect of Zubababa Bancho to special summon this out of our graveyard, and use discard effect because we control this, you know, the names. We're going to special summon it out of our graveyard. What we're going to do now is that we're going to take all 3 and Xyz summon into the monster that I am missing for some stupid reason. Next up, we're going to detach all 3 materials from this one and add from our deck to our hand the Astral Utopia. Then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take these 2 and do the Utopic Future or Utopic Draco Future and just like summon it due to summoning this and then summoning this. Now, because we control an Xyz monster, this can special summon itself, and then we're going to use this effect because we can send a card from our side of the field to the graveyard to basically search from our deck to our hand the Zexal field. Because this card says the following, that you could basically send 1 other card from your hand or field to the graveyard. So that's kind of really, really nice about this card. Now we're going to Xyz summon with these 2 into normal Utopia. Use the effect of this to grab from our deck to our hand the Rank Up Magic. Then we're going to go into the Utopia Ray, activate the Rank Up Magic, and go into Dragnar. Of course, you can always just activate already the field spell, because the field spell is really, really good to protect your monsters if you need to, but mostly what it's useful for is for the end of the combo, which you will see. We're then going to detach 2 materials from Dragnar, summoning the ultimate Utopia, which will attach this to it as a material. Detach this material. You know, you've seen this for a million of times, and then we're going to basically equip this to it directly from our deck and pass the turn for our opponent. Now, in this particular point, technically, if you don't really want the following thing, you could technically just have numbers protection instead of this, but I do like the option for the lock here. So what we're going to do is that during the opponent's turn, we detach 2 materials with Dregnar, special summon the King Overfiend, and then we have 2 effects here. We have the equip from the rank up spell, and we have the equip from the field spell. So the field spell will equip the card that you do need under it, and then the rank up spell will equip itself due to its own effect. So basically, you got yourself this card, which basically says the following, as I mentioned before. Effect monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. So basically, they need a bigger than 1600 beat stick or 1600 beat stick. Get rid of this, waste the battle phase sometimes, and then only then start playing. So basically, this is really, really powerful due to the lock effect. But like I mentioned, if you don't like this, this can only be number 38, and this number is protection, and then basically you have the additional 2 spots in your extra deck. I do like this lock, and I think it's really powerful, but to each their own. But that does it for combo number 4. Let's move on into the final combo, which is combo number 5. Alright, so for our 5th and final combo, this is the combo that I like to call the weird combo. Which is not really that weird. Sometimes it will happen that you end up with hands like this, but it is important to know how to combo off with those hands. And the combo requires you to open up with any of the Automat cards, it doesn't really matter which, the Astral Utopia, and then one of the Sages. This is kind of like a hand that maybe look a little bit of awkward, because it's kind of don't really have any synergy with itself, but it still works quite fine, and I will explain you why. So, first things first, we're going to start things with the normal summon of the Utopic guy, and since we'll control a level 4 monster, special summon the Armed Sage. Now we're going to exceed these 2 off into the Exceed monster Utopic Sage, and you're probably going to ask yourself, why do I skip on this particular effect and not go into the Utopia? Well, it's because, how should I say this, is that I rather skip on this effect and then just get a better end board, because this is only search on Utopias. So, I rather go into this and maybe skip on this effect because its extra weapons are not as important than getting the rank up spell. So that's why I'm just going to go into this. Now we're going to touch 2 materials, and we're going to special summon from our deck the Ascended Sage, and since we control an Exceed monster, we summon the Astral Utopia. Now at this particular point, I would say that you could technically send a card from your hand to the graveyard, but there is really no point. This will give you the same protection in the graveyard as it is on the field, and we're not going to use this card for anything anymore, so I'm going to send this to the graveyard to send from my deck to my hand the numbers protection this time, because I want the additional protection, making 4 interruptions instead of 2, and the Overfiend, because I think Overfiend with only 2 interruptions is not protected enough, so in this particular point we add the numbers protection. We then go to exceed these 2 off into the standard Utopia. Again, you could go into the double if you want to, but like I said, I like to save the double for later. And then we're going to add the rank up spell, go into the Ray, activate the rank up spell, go into the Dregnar, and then use Dregnar effect, detach 2, go into the Ultimate Leo Utopia Ray, which then will equip this, and then you're going to detach this, and we're going to basically equip the Twin Saber. Then pass the turn to our opponent, and again, just like the standard combos, you detach the 2 final materials, and you basically summon Harbinger and equip it with this, and there you go. You have still the 4 interruptions, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, this is a combo that it is really important to know, because you have 4 interruptions and also the protection of Utopic Sage engraved. And like I said, sometimes you do need to use some weird effects, because it's not really a normal thing to just send an Exceed monster to the graveyard, because you can use it as maybe a card on a later combo to maybe go into the F-Zero. But I would not be able to go into the F-Zero in the same turn with this into Dregnar, so instead I just decided to send this to the graveyard, and then just instead of that, get myself the protection and save an additional card in my hand. So that's why I like to do sometimes these particular changes. But that's pretty much does it for the 5th and final combo, and does it for the combo section as a whole. Hope you enjoyed. Now let's move on into the next deck choices. Alright, so for the next deck choices, there's so many things that I wanted to create, which I finally got the cards for, so I am going to clear some of the options that I have before, because I do want to do these stuff. So the options that are staying, because I do want to do them, but I want one of them to wait a little bit until the ban list, which is the Lyrilusk stuff. And then the second option is the Marincess. However, I'm going to add 2 new options, which are going to be Harpy, and then the best waifu deck out of them all, dinosaurs. So basically, these are your 4 options. You're going to have either the 3 waifu decks, which are Marincess, I guess Lyrilusk, and also Harpies, and then the best waifu, which is dinos. So these are the 4 options that you're able to choose. I'm not really sure what kind of dino I want to do. Let me know in the comments if you want to see pure dinos, Shadow dinos. I'm not really 100% sure what I want to do because I finally got my hands on a Dino Core, and I can do so many cool things with those particular decks. So again, let me know in the comments, what do you want to see? But that's pretty much does it for the video, and does it for the deck profile as a whole. Hope you enjoyed seeing this video. Hope you enjoyed this as in general. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.